Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. We talk a lot about small business on Fear and Greed. After all, 99% of Australia's businesses are classed as SMEs, contributing more than $400 billion to our GDP. But what about small businesses owned and operated by women? The employment rate for women in Australia is at a record high, and female small business ownership numbers are surging. Women now run more than a third of all small businesses in Australia. Amanda Rose is the founder of Small Business Women Australia. Amanda, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me.
So can you give us an idea of the landscape of women in small businesses? How big is it? How many people are doing it?
It's actually a really good question because women often don't even see themselves as small businesses when they are. So I don't even think we're capturing everything. And there are different levels. So often people just assume small business, oh, you're a small business. But we've got the solopreneurs, we've got micro business, we've got small business, and then we've got the entrepreneur. And they're all very different types of businesses and very different types of women. So very different circumstances, ambitions, goals, everything. So I think if you take all that into consideration, we have a lot more small business women out there than we can actually track because, you know, a woman might have an ABN and do some contracting work. Well, that's a small business. She doesn't know it yet. And then you've got the entrepreneur, doesn't see themselves as a small business, but they kind of are because they've still only got 5 staff. So I think there's a lot more, but I also think they're the untapped resource of this country.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking then, Amanda, I thought, some of the women I know, one of them runs a real estate agent, another is a consultant to one of the big 4 firms, another actually is one of the school mums, does work at night to help someone out in bookkeeping. Like all of those people are actually business women.
That's exactly right. I mean, nearly 35% of all Australian businesses are female owned. And you take that into consideration versus the support, the awareness and the opportunities that they get, it is out of proportion. We do not get the exact same opportunity. We don't get equal opportunity when it comes to small business. And we need to really change that.
Okay. Are there certain sectors that are dominated by women?
Look, we've got the traditional sector, so community services. Women always want to help, right? Every small business woman is in business because she either wants to help a community, another person, another business or a family. So that's huge. Admin and also hospitality and retail and things like that where it's consumer facing. They love dealing with people and talking with people. So that still dominates. However, there is now a shift where we're starting to get STEM-based, sustainability-based ideas and businesses off the ground, and that's fantastic. So we need to spread the love, so to speak, to say to women, you don't have to just go into one particular area. You can go into any area you wish. You just got to have the right support and obviously the barriers knocked down.
Stay with me, Amanda. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Amanda Rose, founder of Small Business Women Australia. Okay, so let's talk about the support and the barriers. We are in an election campaign and I'm sure there'll be thousands of promises made out there, but the support part of it, things like childcare, so critical to actually enabling women to have a go.
Childcare is a really interesting one. So often when it comes to the small business woman, childcare is not discussed or talked about. I raise that flag often. People just assume, oh, you're a small businesswoman. You've got a flexible life. You can, juggle everything. No, that's not the case. They still need childcare. And if anything, just child minding, which is different to childcare. And it's more of a co-op. So it could be something where a group of small business women have a place where they can all use, they have child minding while they're working on their business at a co-working space, which is a brilliant idea. And they do it in the US. But we need to think of the small business woman and all her barriers. Childcare is definitely one, but also access to money. So I know that the federal government has the Boosting Female Founders initiative, which is great. And I know they've just released a tender for, I think it's nearly triple the size of the last one. And I mentor a lot of those women and I can see the benefits that has. I think we need more of those initiatives to get off the ground and communicate it to women who think, oh, that's not for me, which is A huge issue for women in small business. Oh, I'm just a small business owner. I don't need that money to grow. Well, yes, you do. Take it.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a mindset which I'm guessing is different to men.
Oh, 100%. I think I spend most of my time with mentoring, regardless of the size of the small business with the particular woman, is to let her know and to convince her that she can do it and it is for her. So the mindset is don't speak up, don't ask for too much, don't ask for help, don't fail, make sure you're saying yes to everything, even though it's irrelevant to your business. So all these things we've been conditioned by society to be like that. And women need to realize you're a businesswoman, even just a business person, I usually try to say. So yes, you have unique things that you need to consider like childcare and different things. And I understand that. But when it comes to business, you own a business. So what are the opportunities for you? How can you go out and get that? So I think changing mindset could literally change a small businesswoman's life.
How do you do it? I mean, this is perhaps not unique in that society in Australia is as it is. And because it has been so male dominated for so long, there just seems so far to go.
Look, you just got to push your way through. It's just as
Yeah,
simple
yeah.
as that. You really do. It doesn't mean, see, this is the thing. It doesn't mean you're rude. It doesn't mean you're aggressive. It means you're firm. You know what you want and you just keep going until you get it. You've really got to push your way through. You've got to put your hand up. You've got to not waste your time. There's a lot of time wasters out there that really do target women. So you need to say no a lot more and advocate. So I don't believe in, jumping up and down and getting angry about things. I believe in doing something about it, which is why I started Small Business Women Australia. I thought, no, we need a voice. We need advocacy. We need opportunity. And that's, I think, the way women need to think. That's for me. I need to go for it. I need to put my hand up and I need to keep going until I get it.
Okay. And Amanda, having known you for a few years, you certainly do that really, really well, right? And I don't think that's a male-female thing. That's your personality. You're really good at that. I mean, should the government somehow be biasing women who have had less opportunity, be that in tenders or contracts or things like that? Is there something in that realm we should be thinking about?
Yeah, so I think what needs to happen is, see, a lot of people complain about, oh, they're getting handouts or they're getting opportunities. Well, actually, no, what we're doing is evening out the playing field.
Yeah.
So like in New York City, they committed, I think it was like $1.6 billion of tenders over 10 years to minority and female-owned businesses, and it catapulted the small business community for women. And that's what I would love to see happen in Australia. So going for tenders is overwhelming for women, but there are also those large infrastructure, construction tenders. And look, by default, the guys will say, look, we'll just go to the people that we know. And they do have criteria in these government tenders, for example, that say 30% have to be local SMEs. Well, why don't we add to that and say, actually, 30% needs to be female-owned small business owners, or 20%, or some percentage, to encourage their change of behavior. To say, well, why don't you go out and look for them? They're right there. And then the women themselves to actually put their hand up for tenders. But we do need to change the structure, or at least disrupt it enough to not say, hey, don't whinge saying, oh, it's not fair. And look, the reality is it isn't. It's just more comfortable for the current system to continue going the way it is. We need to disrupt that a little bit. We need to say, well, actually, here are 5 women, 10 women-owned businesses that can actually do the exact same job. Why don't you give some of it to them? Because women don't just want handouts. Women want contracts.
What should men do?
Men should seriously realize that sometimes, buddy, just because you hide your mate doesn't mean it's the best choice, right? You actually... You actually, and I see this, I work with men all the time, and I see everyone as business people. And I've been in discussions where 6 men have talked about a particular product they're all investing in, and the product's targeted to women. And I'm like, hey, notice something missing in this discussion, right?
Yep.
So it's more educating them. But for men, they need to realize it's that diverse thinking. Right? When you think of how much, so 75% of consumer discretionary spending is decided by women. So you would actually not be a wise business person if you didn't have a woman on your team or more, or you didn't contract out to women who have the connections, have the knowledge, and have the experience. And from my experience, the businesses that do have a diverse team do better, and it's more enjoyable to work with, versus those who don't.
It's funny. This a few years ago now. I asked a number of my team members in the organisation I was at to come down to Melbourne with me, and there might have been 5 people, and one woman just hesitated, and kind of after 3 or 4 seconds, she said, "Yep, yeah, that's fine." And afterwards, I asked her why, and she said because in the moment, her kids were coming home. She wouldn't get back till 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Her kids were coming back from school.
Yep.
She knew they could get back from school, but what about getting dinner ready? What about, and it wasn't childcare, it was child minding. And it didn't even cross my mind until she was a single mum. It didn't even cross my mind until I asked her why she hesitated.
Yes.
And it's like this great lesson for me that assuming that everyone's like me is wrong. And I mean, I suppose that's, but particularly for single mums and, it just things that didn't even cross my mind.
That's right. And I think it's just even exactly what you did, asking, like I do that. I said, why did you hesitate, or why did you tell me that number, or why did you say that? And I try and find out just like you did. And it really does help us understand what other people are facing. And if someone is willing and wanting, then we should at least do what we can to provide that assistance, especially single mums. I mean, they have it harder than absolutely anyone on this planet. And, and not because of their own choices a majority of the time, right? So we need to make sure that they're not missing out on opportunities and contracts. And look, it takes a village. And I think if we have that mindset, it's not saying, okay, everyone gets away with everything. Said, no, let's put mechanisms in place to ask those questions and say, right, if you need childcare, for, that afternoon, is there someone you can call? And having those simple conversations. But it makes a huge difference. I was chatting with a gentleman and they were hiring a group of people, 2 men and 1 woman. And I said, would you mind telling me how much the woman charged? And he said, actually, interesting you asked that. She was $100 less an hour than the 2 men. And he said, maybe it's because she sees value in what we do and wants to do more work with us in the future. And that's genuine. He genuinely thought that. I said, no, that's not it. That's not it at all.
Yeah.
It's because she thinks, I better not charge too much. And I said, in future, go back and say to the woman, and this is a story for all the men out there listening, if that happens, go back to her and say, can you increase your hourly rate by $100 an hour so you're on par with the men? It will change her life. She will then be able to do the same for other women. We really need to make it an equal playing field, step by step. Someone said that to me in my early 20s, and it changed how I price. It changed everything for me.
So the end of my story was that I actually said to the woman, look, we'll pay for someone to come in and get dinner or buy them takeaway, actually, I think is what we did. That woman, who was great anyway, was the most loyal person to me from that moment on.
Oh,
and so as a man, if you actually ask that question, she said, just in her mind, she obviously thought that I was thinking about her, and wow, what an employee she became.
Someone cares. I mean, really, have we lost this ability to give a crap about people? I mean, it's as simple, are you okay? Or what can I do to help? And because everyone lives, a completely different life behind closed doors. We don't know their struggles. We don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And if they genuinely want to participate and they want to put in the work, we should do all we can to help them.
Amanda, keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for talking to Fear and Greed this morning.
Thanks for having me.
That was Amanda Rose, founder of Small Business Women Australia. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business podcast. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.